Hola a todos! Welcome to day 3 of our course Get Organized in 7 Days. And the topic of today is move. So yesterday you have collected tasks on a to-do list, and maybe it already was, quite a list, something that you don't perceive like at one glance. And today we are going to add a bit more structure to this list so that it's easier for you to know what you really have to do. And you will also add more information by adding notes to your tasks. And the point of today is also to realize that things are changing pretty quickly often. So this is a dynamic thing. So what you write down doesn't have to stay there forever, and it can move, it can change. And that's the point of what we're going to do today. So this is more or less the list I stopped with yesterday. I added a few things at the end of the day, but this is my list. And you see it's basically just 7 tasks, which is like nothing, but still this would be kind of too much for me to start into a day. 7 tasks for one day is quite something. So what I would like to do here, so I basically collected the things one after the other, but this is not necessarily the order in which I want to work on those things. So for example, this is to go shopping. This is what I obviously do at the end of the day. So I just move this downwards. So how did I do that? Well, if you are on a computer with a keyboard, you just press the Control key or Command if you're on Mac, and the arrow down and arrow up keys to move your task around. And in the same way, you can also indent tasks. So for example, I have 2 things here that are kind of marketing related. So I could add myself another task, marketing, and indent those 2. So I just press the Control key and the right arrow to indent those tasks. So basically just pressing Control and using the arrow keys, you can just move your tasks around. Another option to indent tasks is just to use the Tab key, as you might be used to from other programs, and Shift Tab to unindent. If you're working on mobile, you don't have those keyboard combinations. So what you can do, so this is the mobile view. Here in the menu, you have these buttons, and with those buttons, you can move those tasks around. You can move them down, you can move them up, and you can indent them. Okay? So this is the one thing, to really structure your tasks. Another thing that is pretty important is that you can add more information to your tasks. So yesterday I also advised you to take things maybe from emails, from other sources, and put them in here. But often having just a few words on our to-do list doesn't tell us a lot, and especially if we maybe have started on something and we want to continue, we might want to have a bit more information. And you can use the notes field here on the side to exactly add that information. So here I wanted to have new business cards. So maybe I just was looking for people who print that for me. So I put in printers here. And you see I can use markdown commands. And maybe I have researched the prices or something like that. And so the one thing is you can use markdown commands, or you can use the buttons here on this menu bar and change the style of what you're typing. This is again for desktop, if you have space on your screen, that you have the notes on the right. And there's also an additional really notes view or notes screen that you can use on a desktop. This just means it's bigger, you have more space. And on mobile, it's basically essential because that's the only place you can see notes. So here you have the notes screen, and you can basically switch back to the tasks and add notes for each task as you go along. So your homework for during the day is to go on collecting tasks and to see how they develop. So maybe you're working on something and you realize it's a bigger thing and you want to add subtasks. Just do that. Or maybe somebody else gives you new tasks. So you can move them around. You can also delete tasks. And you can, just allow this dynamics. And you can start to develop your own style, how you want to work. So for example, somebody gives you something new to do. You put it on your to-do list and you can choose. Do you just put it at the end of the list like we did yesterday? And in the evening you move them around and give them some structure? Or you do that during the day and right away when you get the task in, you think about, okay, where would it fit? Where would I want to do that? I would advise you to add notes right away. So whenever something comes up and you feel like you have more information that you don't want to forget, just type it in right at that moment. So now during the day, you have probably collected new tasks, you have changed them, maybe you have added subtasks, maybe you also deleted tasks. So I didn't show you that before, but here there's the delete button. So if you don't want this, you can just delete the task. And as we did yesterday, first of all, you can be happy about the things you achieved. And if you haven't done so before, again, it's a matter of style. You can just delete the tasks that you have checked. And for what is left, again, you can reorder those tasks. And I show you one more element of how you can structure your tasks a little bit more easily and how to see a bit more what is important and when you want to do those things. So you see this little symbol here next to this task that has notes. This one is added automatically because, well, the task has notes. But this is just a special case of something we call properties, and especially an info property. So when you go to the second tab here, properties, you see here there are those infos, and there are a few predefined infos, like some tasks can repeat. So you don't really want to check and delete them. You rather want to give them another chance. You want to do them again at some point in the future. You may have appointments. This is also a matter of style. I like to put my appointments also in my to-do list in addition to my calendar. You may not want to do that. That's up to you. And maybe you have certain priorities for things that you want to add on your tasks. So when you go back here, and maybe here was something that came up that is really important for me, I can just, you can hit this button or press the F2 key if you have one. And then I can put this important priority here. If you're on mobile, it looks very similar, but of course restricted place. So this is something that repeats. So again, I hit this button here. And here I have to switch now to infos. I show you the other ones later. And here this is a repeated task, so I check this and I assign this task here, this info. And in this way you can give your task a little bit more information. So when your list grows, you will see that it's not a lot of fun to go through your list top to bottom every day to see what you have to do, but these things give you a little bit of a hint of where to start and what type of things you have to do. And then there's one last thing that I want to show you today. This is just when you're using this free version of Totolisto, as I said, I asked you to choose which device you want to use. Just in case you're like, oh, I started on my phone, but actually I would like to use my laptop, or maybe you are on one computer and would just switch to another browser. This is actually possible because you can save the data that you've typed in here in a file and copy that file around and load it somewhere else. So it's just in this menu here. You can say save file. And I would actually advise you to do that now and then when you're using this version just as a backup. Because technically the data is stored in your browser, and technically there's no way I can tell that your browser how long to keep that data. Usually a browser keeps it for quite a while, so usually there's no problem at all, but there's no way to influence it technically. So I advise you now and then to back up your data, maybe at the end of the day, so you have it safe and don't have to rely on that. And yeah, that's it for today. So we have a bit more structure here. Still, you may be a little bit overwhelmed by everything you have to do. And we will see about this tomorrow and give your tasks even more structure. See you tomorrow. Hasta luego.